Yo, 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 yo. What's going on? What's good? Wait a second.
Wait, Jake.
Where's John? John!
Jake!
He made it back.
Commuters!
Commuters.
Hey!
He made it back. He just got off the plane. Fresh off the boat, John.
Oh.
Hey. John, sit down.
Oh my
Sit down here. I'm going to do some ASMR for these guys real quick.
weird.
Ready? Listen to this, boys.
Where am I? Ooh, I don't even have my headphones on, but that sounded nice.
Ooh. John, welcome back, John.
Man.
Welcome back.
Some ASMR to start the podcast?
Yeah. Look at John. He's looking good.
I'm back.
And if you could
I just got off the plane, guys. Like, I just came from Africa.
From
and-
Africa.
Man, that blue backpack, by the way, shout out blue backpack. It's been across the world, honestly.
Honestly. Wait, where have you taken that
That's
blue
been my
backpack?
travel bag. That's my go-to bag, the blue one. Oh, I'm out of breath. I just had to run from the airport.
Yeah.
Man. All right.
It's good to have you back, John. I don't laugh as hard without you.
Just laugh at your own jokes.
Right.
All right. Oh, is this part of our...
This is
you
gonna be
guys
part of
like
the
our...
aesthetics,
Look
yeah.
at this. Aesthetics.
Yeah, we're adding to it. I told you we were revamping.
We're revamping.
Little by little, we revamp.
Whole new podcast right now.
We
got
podcast.
ASMR. We got me. We have Coke. Anyways, I take that backpack everywhere. I love that backpack.
A whole new podcast.
No. Yeah, it's been everywhere. I took it
everywhere.
I've taken it to France. Monaco.
You've been to
I took it to Costa Rica.
the Galapagos Islands. John's been to the Galapagos.
I think I took that one to the Galapagos. I don't know.
You've been everywhere, dude.
So yeah, and then I just recently took it to Dubai and then to Africa.
Dubai. Oh my gosh, you should see the Toblerone that we got from Dubai.
Oh yeah, the Toblerone.
We'll take a picture here. I'm gonna write that down. Pick a Toblerone on there.
Huge. It's
Guys,
sick.
it was huge. But John's been a world traveler. I remember. So, anyway, well, let's start off with this. What's commuting, commuters? What's going on? How are you?
Commuters.
It's been a solid 2 weeks. I haven't posted a video, and I just got to start off and say I'm sorry. Okay, I said I would post these videos. I said I'd do these things, but you guys, reality hit, life hit, and it's been hard. It's been hard, especially without John here, and I do a lot of the editing and stuff, and so
Jake does everything.
I've just been kind of busy. Well, John does a lot too.
All I do is talk. That's all I'm good for, talking.
Well, you're great at it. But anyway, so I've just been just with life and stuff, and I wanted to spend some time with my wife and the 4th of July, so it's been busy.
And you did give a little thing about life, let it be, He talked about his life, and he talked about red lights and green lights, and that he gave a, whatever is it called?
Motivation, heart to heart?
Heart to heart, and it was about like red lights and stuff, and it was a good comparison between those things, so... If you haven't checked out the last podcast,
John.
Jake did great.
Thank you, John.
Well, I've been gone. Jake's been killing it, it's tough.
Should we clap it out?
Clap it out, guys.
Clap it in.
Clap it out. Hey, guys back home, clap it. Clap with us.
Clap with us. Well,
Good.
anyway, you know what I was really sad about? I'm gonna call him out. You ready for me to call this guy out?
You called? Oh.
United Gamer. Where were you?
United.
What, did you miss
Death
John?
Gamer.
Did you miss John that much?
He's just like, John's not there. I'm gone.
I'm gone. I'm not commenting. I'm done.
Watch, he's gonna comment on this one. It's gonna be so funny.
He's gonna say, "I'm unsubscribing. I hate you."
Hate these guys.
Anyway,
I just did it for the follow.
Anyway. So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. We're happy to be back, and we're happy to talk about things. We like the aesthetics. We're kind of revamping some things, and anyway, what I was going to say originally was when I left on my service mission. So you don't get to, well, now you do, but when I went out on my mission, I didn't get to call home a lot or things like that. Like Mother's Day and Christmas were the only times I would call home, right? And talk to my family. Other than that, I would email once a week. Well, I remember I got to call home, especially before I left on before I went to Idaho, because you go to a training center. And we hadn't gone on any, we'd gone on vacations and stuff to Hawaii and stuff like that. But I'd never been on a cruise or things like that. Never. I remember I called my dad to say, hey, we're stuck at the airport, but this is my final time I get to call you before, we embarked at Boise, which is where I served. And guess where the homeboy was? I call him and he's like, hello? And I was like, Dad, you sound like you're sleeping. Why are you sleeping? He's like, 2 in the afternoon. Oh, sorry, we're on a cruise. I'm like, who's on the cruise with you? John and our younger sister Claire.
That was a
what
fun
the
cruise.
heck?
That was sick.
It was great. They celebrated my
so spoiled.
dude. You guys celebrated me leaving.
It's actually true. Right as he left in the airport, we're like, oh yeah, who wants some food?
Yeah, let's go on a cruise.
That was funny. No, yeah, you missed out on all the traveling.
And then you guys like went around the world, but recently John has embarked on a lot of like cool things. And so today we're going to kind of switch it up from our normal podcast, the 4 subjects, which we'll do later. But right now I kind of want to just talk about John's experience in Africa.
Today we're just going to talk.
Yeah, and
just gonna talk. You
just
kind of
talk.
You guys are sitting on the couch right there. Literally, you guys are on the couch.
Literally on our couch.
But yeah, you guys are just going to join us, sit back and relax. I'm going to talk about some Africa, so you know what I'm saying.
It's going to be great. And honestly, I'm going to kind of throw in my experiences. So I did a kind of a service trip before my mission to Haiti. And I kind of want to do some comparisons because it sounded pretty similar in some respects. I went right after the earthquakes. And so, of course, there's going to be some things that are different. But I think the overall message of what we got out of that sounded kind of the same. And we haven't really talked about that.
Yeah, I haven't told them really anything from it. So this is like raw.
Raw, yeah. Not like wrestling raw. But
wrestling raw?
Yeah, haven't you heard of that?
No.
Raw? So you have like WWE, and then you have like Raw. Welcome to Raw.
That's Raw!
Haiti versus Zimbabwe.
So wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said after you went after the earthquakes, did you go because of the earthquakes? Did they request volunteers?
Yeah. So I went with a group called Sustain Haiti. Shout out to any one of the people if they ever watch this. It was really, really cool. And so I heard about it through one of my cousins. And he was like, hey, there's this great thing called Sustain Haiti. And it wasn't about giving direct, immediate aid. It was about building lasting and sustainable aid, which kind of set a theme and a precedence of kind of like the way I view business is rather than like, let's tackle and get like chop at the branches of things. Let's go chop at the roots and create a sustainable change, which is kind of what you did.
So it's basically like instead of giving all this village fishes, let's teach them how to fish.
Right. We gave them some fishes, but the majority of what we did is so instead of giving them fresh water, we built water filtration systems.
So they can use it forever.
Right. And we taught them how.
Giving,
And rather than just like going and playing with orphans, we helped build the adoption agencies and we helped the marketing and things like that. So it was kind of a cool opportunity. I was I was your your age.
17.
I was 17.
Yeah. About to turn 18.
Or actually, no, I was 18.
Oh, I turned 18 in a month.
Yeah.
So we're basically the same age.
It was the same. So, same. But it was great. So we're going to talk about that real quick. Let's give some announcements real quick. So, number one, we're going to start doing some exclusive things on Spotify. I've decided, and I know I've been like, this has been so delayed, the Forgotten Roads, like we did it like months ago. I've actually kind of pretty much recorded it with my wife, Michelle, but I was thinking about doing it again, maybe with John or something like that. It went really well with my wife, but we did my wife and I also did a day in the life of, and I felt really bad. She was really sick, John. She could barely talk. And so I just felt bad for her, like posting on all the stuff with her being able to barely speak.
Yeah, that's tough.
So anyway, we're going to do Forgotten Roads. I think we're going to exclusively do that on Spotify.
I took some pictures of roads in Africa. You could probably use
Forgotten Roads, yeah.
Yeah, I have some cool shots. Took my camera out
That's
there.
what I'm talking about.
But Spotify, look us up. It's not the average commute. It's just average commute.
Just average commute.
I was confused about that, but then like Jake was like, "Oh, stupid."
Yeah. So
average commute.
Yeah. So Spotify is just interesting. So anyway, we're on there right there. Average commute. Look us up.
Spotify is a great platform for podcasts too. They updated all their stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
And the sound quality, I'll be honest with you, the sound quality is a lot better on Spotify. I don't know why, because I use the same MP4 version of what our like recording that I do for everything. But for Spotify, it just sounds better. I think it's just the way they do it. I don't know.
We could do like audio onlys too on Spotify too.
Yeah.
If we get into it. I don't know.
So anyway, all of our podcasts are posted on there like audio files, but we like the video recording as well just to be more interactive with you guys. So we're also on YouTube. Hey, and shout out, we have 68 followers on Facebook, which I know some people are like, oh, it's only 68. That's 68? Awesome. 68.
It's insane.
2 away from 70. So let us hit this goal. You guys, if you view this and you haven't followed us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook.
That's nice.
All right.
Oh yeah, and we do all of our live. No, we're not. Not yet. We're gonna do more live streaming, maybe on YouTube or something. But like all of our live streams right now, just like us just messing around, are on Facebook.
Yeah. Just kind of giving some shout outs and saying what up. So check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
We're my favorite word, the word of the day, ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. We're ubiquitous. Everywhere.
We are everywhere.
So anyway, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for following us, and thank you so much for listening. We hit some awesome goals. We set a goal to get 30 subscribers this week, at the end of this week.
Where are we at?
We're at 21. So
that's more than 20.
Yeah, it's more than 20. So shout out to you guys for subscribing, following, things like that. And our next podcast, The Average, I'm going to talk about what happens when you don't hit your goals. How do you kind of pick yourself up from that, things like that, and what happens when those goals kind of fall through. Anyway, so if you guys could, let's get a surge. Surge. This is going to be posted next week, but hey, let's help us get this 30. Help us get these 30 subscribers and 10 followers on Spotify.
Yeah, 10 followers on Spotify.
Anyway, we like to share our goals. But with that being said, let's dive into this segment. Let's dive into the segment. We've been talking for a little bit about random stuff. Let's dive into the segment. So, John, first off, for those that don't know, what part of Africa did you go to?
All right. So, should I just like give the whole background? Okay, actually, no. I'll answer a question. I'll just answer a question.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
All right, cool. So, I took a 4-hour flight to Seattle.
Yeah.
14-hour, or it was either 7. I think it's a 7-hour to Dubai, and then 14 hours to Dubai, 7 hours to Africa. That sounds right. And then I landed in Lusaka, the capital of Zambia. And so that's where I did all my humanitarian service, was in Lusaka.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
like you did in the city of Lusaka.
Yeah.
So you did a lot, but the country of
Zambia.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was with this group called I Am Zambia. Shout out those guys. Those guys are amazing. It was my aunt has this program, I Am Zambia, and she was killing it down there. They have a
shout out
school.
to Heidi.
Shout out Hides and Diane. They have a school. They have a clinic. They're building like rooms for the clinic, and they also have an amphitheater now. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've been killing it, man.
So you spent the majority of time in Lusaka.
Yeah, spent a week and a half in Lusaka.
A week and a half. Okay. And so let's start off. What did you do? So you were in Lusaka. You flew this long way, and we talked about I Am Zambia a little bit. But and we talked about how you were going to build a clinic and a hospital. But let's talk about what did you do?
Like what my days were like and stuff?
Yeah. Like your average day.
My average day. The day in the life of me. So when I was there, so we first got there, we had to bring a full-on 50-pound carry-on of just like supplies and stuff. Oh, okay. So the first day we just dropped that off and at the school and stuff, and we like handed it out to people and stuff when we organized it. But then as soon as we got to the hard labor, we would go. Well, you okay there? Are you doing some more ASMR?
Yeah, open up my Coke. I need more Diet Coke. I'm like Diet Coke fiend.
Anyways, so yeah, the hard labor and stuff, we would wake up in this little backpacker's lodge or whatever, full of spiders and bed bugs and stuff. I found both of those things on my bed, spider and bed bugs. And hopefully I didn't bring any home, you know what I'm saying?
I know, right?
Anyways, so we took this an hour-long bus ride to the village and stuff, and that's where the clinic was. It was like right in the middle of this big village. And so the clinic was already built, but we were building the bedrooms, like you stay overnight.
Oh, okay. So like the patient rooms?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think that's what it was. But it's basically just all dirt back there, and we have to dig these little the little footings and the house, and we lay bricks, put down concrete, shovel rocks in there, and then but yeah, we built it up. I think when I left it was like 12 feet tall.
Wow.
And bricks, and it started off as just dirt.
Dirt, yeah.
It's crazy.
John sent me some videos of him doing that labor and stuff, and that was pretty cool. So you did a lot of building, it sounds like. Yeah,
there's a lot of hard labor. I think the most of the week was just like we would go out to the village and we build these things, and then like the rest of the time in Lusaka we just went to like orphanages and then like little like hospital things for like people in like needs and stuff. Like yeah. Really
so cool. When you would go to the orphanages, what would you do?
We would go and we would like scout out their like organization, and then so we had to bring those 50-pound bags, you know, of supplies, and basically we just like give all the stuff that they would need, like diapers and baby supplies and all this stuff, to the orphanages, and then we just go and like see how they're doing and how they run their things in like a third world country like that. And so yeah, it was like a cool experience too, and we didn't like. I mean, we'd like help them like prepare foods and stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that was it.
That's really cool. So, with that, describe kind of Lusaka. Describe it. So,
Lusaka?
Like, yeah. So, because I mean, I think we have. I mean, of course, now with more news and more outlets and things, we can kind of paint a picture of what Africa's like, and it's not as desolate that some people say. In some respects it is, in some respects it's not. It's actually, you know, I had some mission companions who were Ghanaian, who were from Ghana, and they were just awesome. But they kind of, you know, help people see that Africa wasn't just like this crazy thing like you see on television of people running around, you know, but that there still are some cultural aspects of it though that are like that. So kind of paint the picture of Lusaka. Like what did it look like? What was it like? Kind of describe. I love people and cultures, and so let's just talk. Like describe that environment.
Oh yeah, Lusaka is a very pretty place, and it's like it's kind of like
pretty how? Like was it like lush? Was it desert?
It was pretty in like the aspect of like most of it was like untouched, kind of. Like some places you drive and you just see all this pretty like in like the sunsets and everything, but other places
untouched.
Yeah. And then in other places, it was just completely like city, like fast, and just cars everywhere and like dirt everywhere, and like there'd be like trash in the streets.
Yeah.
Some places were really dirty and stuff. But, yeah, Lusaka, it's kind of weird because you drive like 10 minutes and you'd see a completely different like world basically.
Really?
So like. We went into the airport, right?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like this big place, and then we drive through the city, and then like 10 minutes later would be like out in nowhere.
Middle,
see,
like look like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you see like little huts like now and then.
Oh, cool.
And then other places it'd be straight like just safari, just like animals, like elephants and stuff. And so it was like you're like, wow, like this is like different like worlds out here, but it's kind of crazy.
And for those watching on, if you're listening on Spotify, we're gonna put pictures like to when John's talking. I'm gonna take some of John's pictures and just kind of put them, insert them in different places so you can kind of see the contrast. But Haiti was kind of the same.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like this. It's almost like.
But Haiti was after the earthquake, so it was like probably like way different.
It's true.
Like,
but I mean, in the sense of, you know, we were in the city of Leogane. But you could drive out and all of a sudden like 5 minutes and you're in this lush jungle. Yeah. You know what I mean? But there's, you know, sometimes there's trash in the streets, and other parts it was just gorgeous and the upkeep was just beautiful. But anyway, so you had this environment of these kind of stark contrasts. So was the city, like the city epicenter itself, and you can kind of see that in any city, by the way. Like let's take Phoenix, for example. If you drove 20 minutes outside of Phoenix in one direction, there are some parts of Arizona that are still like kind of untouched.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
straight
so like
desert.
kind of this kind of like the city itself, was it kind of like a city feel, or was it small, or was it just kind of like mesa type city, or what was it, you know?
So yeah, like you drive out to the city and it was like, I don't know, it was like so fast and like so like just like all this like cars were just like a foot from each other, just, you know, like going both ways.
Did they do singles? Did they do like signals to each other rather than like, did they like honk their horn and stuff?
Yeah, they would always just honk their horns and stuff.
Like if they're gonna make like a left turn, that's what they did in Haiti all the time. It was like so sketchy.
Yeah,
they're like driving 90 miles an hour and they're like gonna make this turn, and then it's like honk honk, like I'm coming.
Yeah,
if you hit me,
on
okay.
your left.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but yeah, it was crazy. And then like there would just be a bunch of like vendors on the streets and stuff, and like we were like so close to just hitting everything. It's just insane. It's like I don't know how to describe it. Like I don't know like a place. It's not like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a whole different.
It's its own place.
It's its own place.
I mean, and that's a great way to put it too. And it's like anywhere. It's kind of its own like thing. I think also too, people tend to paint this picture that all third world countries kind of look the same or feel the same, and I would kind of venture to say that that's false.
Yeah. Because we went to different places,
right,
but
places.
In Africa, and we had totally different like worlds or experiences kind of.
Well, and the thing is too, is that I think so much of it is the people.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of get into that later, but because I kind of want to talk about the people of these places, and I think we probably had a similar experience. But that being said, so you go for the city, and where were you building these clinics? Were they kind of more in the outskirts of the city, or were they kind of in the city themselves, or were these for like the rural people, like the tribes and stuff, or?
So the only reason why we were in the cities, that's because that's where the lodge was.
Uh-huh.
And so we would stay in this little lodge, and then we would drive out like an hour to the village. So it was just like right in like this big like village, and it was like that's where the clinic was. So then, like
yeah. So you would sleep, drive out, and you did most of your work outside of the main city, kind of in these rural places.
Yeah, just like you could see for like miles basically, and then there's just big little huts.
Wow. So
kind of crazy. So
describe the people in these rural places. Describe kind of the culture.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy because these people, they don't have much, right?
Right.
Is your computer all right?
What the heck?
All right, now we're still good.
Sorry.
Yeah, so like
I think it just went into sleep mode or something.
Straight sleeping.
Yeah.
But yeah, these people don't have much. They don't have shoes, like the kids and stuff. And when we were doing work and stuff, the kids they would love us. They would come up and they would jump on us, and like we couldn't even work because they would be like so like intoxicated with us. But they were so nice, and they'd be like, "Oh, what's your name? How old are you?" And like they could speak like a little bit of English and stuff.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they were just super nice. They would always like pick up a shovel and start helping us. Like, you don't need to do that. Like
we're doing this for you.
Yeah, and I was like,
Isn't that interesting? The joy though.
Yeah,
it's
the people honestly there. So refreshing because they would walk by, they would just wave to you, And then,
oh my gosh.
And it was like weird because like I got back when I flew back, we landed in Seattle and stuff. Yeah. I was just so like used to like waving to someone or something, and then they just like walk past and like what is this dude doing? Like why is he waving at me? But like I'm just like that's so weird, like how they don't have like really anything, and they just like they're so genuinely happy and stuff.
And that's one of the main bulks of the message, or kind of the message, the main bulks of something I wanted to kind of talk about with you.
Yeah, was
kind of these people's outlook on life, because here, I kind of mentioned this. I made this video. I never posted it. Okay, so I'm driving home from my cabin, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm all alone, and I just this thought came to me to talk about this. So you know what? I'm going to talk about it with you. So I remember I was working in this place, and it's Intermountain Healthcare.
Yeah.
And I had this manager, and he was a phenomenal manager, like one of the best managers ever I've ever worked with. Shout out to him. But there was one thing that he said, and I kind of disagreed with him on this, and it had nothing to do with his management style. But I remember he said, "Man, this person has just been dealt bad cards in their life," and he was kind of using that as an excuse to justify this juxtaposition that this person was in, like to justify that oh, you know what, they act a certain way because this. And like I can totally see that. Yeah. I totally understand that I've been dealt bad cards or whatever. But I hate that saying that I've been dealt bad cards, because I think everyone is given an opportunity to be something and to create something and to enjoy something and enjoy life. And that was one thing I really learned when I went to Haiti. Yeah. Was here was this devastating earthquake, and yes, you had the polar opposite. You had these negative people. But generally, most of the people I talked to, interacted with, were happy and good people. I mean, these are people that had lost family members, people that lost their homes, people lost this. And to see the gratitude, I mean, it was so humbling to see them just like so happy, the orphans to play with you and things like that. I mean, it was like so humbling and things. And so let's talk about that joy and kind of where I feel like that comes from, and maybe why we don't do that, because I remember the same thing. I remember getting off the plane, waving at people and stuff like that,
and they were just like be so happy. Like you just drive past in like one of the cars, and you can see like all the people in it. They're like,
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I think it's so cool.
I mean, and there are some things, and I don't know, I haven't researched Zimbabwe itself, but there are certain parts of Africa that are worse than others, and due to certain things and sex trafficking, things like that. I mean, sometimes it's terrible for these people, but they seem to be very empowered to good. And so let's talk about that. Kind of like, what do you think brings these people so much, like, how can they be so happy amidst so much adversity?
Yeah, it's crazy. I was talking about this to one of like my friends that was there. This is like kind of along the lines, but I'm gonna go like on a
tangent. Okay? That's fine. Yeah, do whatever you need to do.
So like we were talking about how do I'm gonna get a little deep, but like how do people here, like back in the States, like in like schools and high schools and stuff, how do they have such like a way of like of depression, or like they're like not
negativity?
Yeah, negativity, and they don't feel good, like. And they like wake up and like, I don't know, they feel sick and stuff. And you go to Africa or Zambia and stuff, and you see these little kids running around, and they sleep on like the dirt and stuff, and they don't have shoes or anything. But
they don't eat a lot.
They don't eat. They're hungry all the time.
They may be sick. It's hot. I mean, how hot was it there, by the way, when you were there?
Well, for us it was nice because it's winter there.
Oh yeah, that's
right. And so it was like the 80s, but in winter.
So it's below the equator.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it's like winter on the opposite side.
It was like southern Africa.
So it was nice there.
It was nice.
But I mean, it gets hot.
Yeah. It was 80 in the winter, like during the day.
So it's like Phoenix.
It was like
it's hotter.
It was like California weather right now because it's in winter.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gets hot.
Winter time, 80 degrees. So I think Phoenix is low in winters. I think 70, 60.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be, no, it's not. I've been here long enough to say it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, so wow. So it gets hot.
Yeah.
They're sleeping on the dirt. They're not eating the most incredible food,
but they're happy, and they're happy. How does that compare to here, where people have so much, and like we have so much, and we can like get so down on ourselves, Right. And what I like came up with and what I thought of is because like, and I don't know, this was just something like I was like, well, if the kids are like basically in survival mode their whole life, pretty much.
Right.
Because they have to wake up, they have to go find some food, they have to go find water, they have to work, they have to do their chores every day.
Right.
And they're not really thinking about like, oh, what am I wearing? Oh, how do I look?
They're not thinking about what does John think of me?
Yeah. And they just think about how they can keep themselves alive, pretty much.
Right.
And so and I think that's like what the brain was meant to do. It was meant to like find a problem, find a solution, and do the stuff. But here we just get like we find a problem, we need food, we just go like we can order off our phone, like it's some DoorDash or something.
Yeah.
And there's not like that instinct or stuff like to take over in your brain. So I think like that like, people and plus with social media and stuff, like they get
don't even get me started.
They get this like persona that like everyone is happy except for themselves, and like their brain isn't like working and it's not using its full capacity, and it's not like in the survival mode. It's not really doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's just kind of laying on the couch. You're
so focused on the world around you that you're not looking at the world that's happening in front of you.
Yeah. And I think the brain, like, it's not really meant to be like thinking about all these other different things, that it's just like, and it releases this like toxin, this like thing that in your brain that like, I don't know, messes you up.
Yeah.
That's what I think about it, because they just think about, this, the food, and they get happy from it,
I totally remember while I'm we had this person from Haiti and another person from Africa, and they lived in the slums of each place, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, figured out a way. They came to America. It was a really cool story. But they're working with me in a clinic. And I remember we were talking about one of our employees who was suffering from some depression and things and was really struggling. And I remember they came up to me and they said, why can't she just be happy?
Yeah.
It's like she has so much. Why can't she just be happy?
Honestly.
And and of course there's some clinical things. And don't get me wrong. I mean, there are definitely clinical things, and you can find that anywhere in the world. They're clinical things. But I think that they have rooted themselves in joy in a different way. They find joy. And I talked about this with John once, and I share this a lot. And I don't mean to get religious and preachy. I say that every single time. But I believe that joy is this quote unquote eternal type principle, whereas happiness is a temporal type of thing. And I think that when you can find joy in what you do, it's a lasting thing. Yeah. Whereas happiness can be kind of this temporal. And so I think they found joy rather than this temporal happiness. And anyway, so that's a really interesting perspective. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
So continue.
Where they took their survival instincts and their survival mode, and that's what, and the brain was like developed to do something like that. And here, the brain is just sitting around on their phone, like watching like Netflix, what I do and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I was watching Netflix this morning on my phone.
Yeah.
And then your brain is not really like meant to just be doing that all the time. So I think it like creates a reverse thing and creates different things in your brain that's
an interesting way to put it.
But yeah, that's what I was thinking of, but I don't know. And you said, back to what you said, that they find eternal like joy. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
What do you how do you think they can find? That's like a hard, deep question because you don't really know.
Yeah. Well, I think it starts with that. I think they root it in other things. I think from what I've noticed, and you know, some cultural scholars and things may disagree, but from what I've experienced, I think that people experience joy or are the most happy when they root themselves around family. And they root themselves around things that kind of matter most in life. And they stop caring so much about what Joe Schmo across the street is doing or what Joe Schmo on Facebook or, you know, whoever. And they live their life. And they kind of focus on the tasks that need to get done to improve their life. And I think that they find, you know, and let's face it, you know, in some of these rural places of Africa or even the United States or in other countries, they're forced to find joy in other ways, right? And people can use it for bad and people can use it for good. People can find happiness or temporal pleasures in things that aren't necessarily great. Yeah. Like money or things like that, which money is fine, but I mean, you can kind of become corrupt in either way, right? Yeah. And I know I'm kind of bordering a fine line here, but what I'm trying to say is I think that these people have decided to find joy in their friends and their family and their
like daily tasks
and their daily tasks. Yeah, and like, I mean, because some of these people walk miles.
Oh yeah,
miles. They don't even have a car. They walk miles. I remember this great quote, and again, I'm not trying to bring religion or anything, but it's me. It's who I am. But I totally remember this great quote by one of our leaders in the church, and he said, you know, we have these people in Africa that walk miles to church, and will faithfully go to the church every week. Oh yeah. And they walk miles. It's crazy. Hours to get there. So like they do a 2-hour trip, right?
Yeah.
Versus we have people in the United States that live 5 minutes away and say they can't find time to do it. And he goes, what is it there? It's a matter of what's in here.
It's true.
And what they center their lives around.
Yeah, we it's crazy. We went to this one guy's house. He let us in and stuff. And it was crazy. It was just this tiny little house. It was like the size of like my bedroom, you know?
Yeah.
And he got this new job, and it was a Pepsi inspector. So we're like, he goes down the line.
That's so sweet. It just checks the Pepsi bottles.
But like, he was so grateful for it, and he has to walk. He told us 2 hours every morning and every night, just there, 2 hours, 2 hours back, just to get to his job.
I don't know why. That's gonna get me emotional.
Yeah, and
that is just so cool.
He's so grateful to have a Pepsi inspector job, and so
wow. Whereas like I feel like people here would just think that that's such a mundane task. And you know, I one time I had someone that said, you know, they were down on their luck, in the sense of they couldn't find work, things like that. And I said, they needed money. I was like, go get a job at McDonald's, go do this.
Yeah.
And they're like, it was almost like they're too good for it. And I was just kind of like, you realize that there are people out there that would kill to have an opportunity to work at like a McDonald's or to work at positions that you have gotten to work. And it's been this huge humbling, you know, thing for me as I talked about in the last podcast, my experience recently. And I've had to think about that because at first I was so bitter, and then I started to realize, wait a second, I have been given a lot in my life. I have nothing to complain about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that comes to my mind. They have a perspective on life that a lot of people don't.
Yeah. They have the wide view, like the picture, the end game picture.
The end game picture. And let's face it, some of them are sad, and some of them have hard days, and some of them, it's kind of hard to see that they've been dealt these cards and things. But that's where we can kind of come in and help bring certain supplies and certain things to help them get along. But at the same time, they're okay with where they're at in some ways.
Like the guy I was talking about, the Pepsi inspector, he just makes barely enough like to pay his rent every day, and he just lives in like this little mud shack thing, and he has the same like thing for dinner every day. It's this thing called Shima. I don't know.
What is Shima?
It's basically like you ever had like a tamale?
Yeah.
Like the corn stuff on the outside.
Oh yeah.
That's what it is.
Corn
like,
husk.
It's just the cornmeal. I don't know.
Okay.
It looks like if you took a bunch of white rice, just squeezed it like really tight.
Yeah.
And it's just a little brick, and that's all it is. Super plain, and they love it. Like that's super cheap.
Yeah.
But that's what they have like every day.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Can you believe that? And that's one thing I want to talk about the food, because I'm a foodie. As you guys can tell, I'm a foodie. Now, anyway, and we'll kind of dive back more into this people thing more as we go on, because I think everything kind of comes back to this culture thing, and I don't know if we've quite touched on it as much as I feel like we should. But I'm just going to give everyone an invitation that's listening right now. If you guys look at your Facebook every day, if you're someone out there that's constantly checking your Facebook, constantly scrolling, I mean, checking's one thing, but scrolling through your Facebook, I'm going to give you the invitation to quote unquote fast from it, or to stop for just a week. See how your life changes.
Yeah.
See the perspective of things that need to get done, rather than you sit there and you go, oh man, I have all this stuff, and your brain instantly gets overwhelmed, and so then you're like, I'm just going to check Facebook, and then 30 minutes later you're still scrolling when you could be out creating a podcast or doing other things, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'm a victim. I do that a lot.
I do it. Raise your hand if you do it.
And so I've decided I've taken social media fasts and things like that before, and it helps put things in. So if you're listening right now and you're one of those that scrolls through Facebook a lot, I invite you to take a week, or to take a couple days. If you can't do a week, do 2 or 3 days. See how it changes.
Yeah.
See how your brain kind of rewires to focus on the things that matter most. Now, I know that's kind of pushing away from you and I, like, hey, you're not going to check us out on YouTube or Spotify.
Do not watch us for a week.
But you could listen to us and things like that. But try to put in perspective the things that you need to get done. Yeah. And go from there. So anyway, we'll talk about that more throughout the podcast, and I think we're going to divide this up into 2 parts because it's going to be a long one, or we could just put the whole thing in the whole, whatever it works. But let's start off. Let's kind of now dive into kind of the foods, and then we'll go back to kind of this people and culture.
Yeah.
And so we'll dive into the foods. All right. So I think I want to kind of talk about the culture, right? And we've said that, but I think so much of culture is like the food. Right?
I love food.
And I love, if you guys haven't seen, there's a documentary on Netflix that I love. It's a docuseries.
Oh, yeah, he showed me.
It's called Chef's Table. It's so I love that documentary.
So dope.
And anyway, they kind of talk about the foods of these people and how it relates to their lives and what's, things of that nature. It's really cool. So I love people. I love studying people. And so much of people is the food they eat and stuff.
Yeah.
So my Ghanaian friends, from Ghana, they had this food called fufu. Fufu. Did you try fufu? Was fufu in Zimbabwe? I know that's more of a Ghana thing.
In Zambia.
Yeah, I know, but that's more of a. Did you try fufu in Zambia? Did they eat that at all?
No, but okay. I mean, it could be called like a different name. Like maybe Shima and fufu were the same thing.
So what it was like this like doughy ball.
Yeah.
And you put it in soups and stuff like that, and it was like just like a dough, but it just sat heavy. And what it would do is when you eat it, it expands in your stomach.
Expands and make you
so make you more full. But anyway, he would eat that a lot. He would make these soups out of everything. Did he eat a lot of soup over there?
No, they would just eat Shima and chicken.
Shout out to Tiboa Ofi, Elder Ofi, who's here with me. Tiboa Ofi.
So fufu is like a dumpling, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of. But it was like this thick thing. It was like big, and they would put it in the end of soups, and then they would pour their soup on it, and then they'd eat it, or they'd just eat it plain.
Yeah.
I think you can buy it at a local Walmart.
Fufu.
And so if you look it up, it's fufu, F-U-F-U.
Too. There's probably like recipes. I bet it's like all like you can make it from scratch.
Yeah, it's really cool. So anyway, he would make a ton of soups. He would make them out of everything. I mean, we're talking like cow tongue, things like that.
Oh,
and some people, would be like, it was good. I mean, hey,
you had cow tongue?
Oh yeah.
Gross.
I mean, it's like in street tacos and stuff.
It's like a meat.
Yeah.
Does it look like a?
It looks like an actual tongue. And then they cook it up and.
What was the? What's the consistency of a cow tongue? Is it like?
If you eat it plain, which he would just like literally he would. And sorry if you can hear the hammering.
We're doing construction on our backyard.
Yeah. So anyway, what he would do is he would take the tongue.
Yeah.
In total. And he would go and chop it in half, and then he would chop it kind of like that. So. Most people, when they take cow tongues, they kind of scrape off some of the things, and then they like kind of shear it a little bit, and then they cook it and fry it.
Yeah.
And they go from there.
Yeah, but like, what was it like? Jerky, chicken?
Yeah, and
steak?
so it was like a tough steak, and there was times where you could taste. So sometimes I'd get these big chunks, and you could taste. You could feel the texture, and at the time I couldn't taste or smell at all, and so texture was everything, and you could the texture, it was like literally like a tongue on your tongue. It was kind of weird.
A tongue on your tongue.
It was gross. Okay.
Eee.
So anyway, so if you guys haven't, you can. I don't know if they sell it here, but in Idaho, of course, they sell everything. Cows and stuff in Idaho, but you can go get it in Idaho. It's great. But anyway, so he ate a lot of soups and stuff. In Haiti, the staple in Haiti that I had almost every day, and one of the best things we would have, and this is kind of, fried plantains is kind of specific to their region.
Oh, yeah.
So fried plantains, which good. I love. And they would do it just right, so it was kind of mushy in the middle. I loved it. And then another thing that they would always make for us, chicken, this like incredibly seasoned chicken. Which Creole seasoning, by the way, Creole is that's the dialect of Haiti. Sac passé, naboulé, all my people in Haiti, I picked up on some Haitian, some Creole, so it's awesome. So anyway, sac passé, all my Haitians and Creole speakers. Yeah. But anyway, so they take and which is also spoken in Africa, by the way. But anyway, they have this great Creole seasoning that they use. And it is this chicken, and then they do like beans and rice, but not like the Mexican dish, but they just do like just some black beans with some rice, and they do like this coconut flavor. I just remember it being so good. When I came back to the States, I'm not gonna lie, that was probably, I missed that a lot.
You missed the food?
Yeah.
Because like sometimes
I just miss the chicken.
When I go,
I just miss the fried chicken. I love fried chicken.
Fried chicken is so
fried
good.
Chicken.
You've been to Cane's?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, if you guys haven't been to Cane's, I think there's only like one, and there's two in here in Arizona. There's probably one in California.
Yeah.
So, okay, Cane's, all there's 4 things on the menu. A 2-piece, a 3-piece, and then like a chicken sandwich, and then something else.
All there is fried chicken.
All there is chicken.
My gosh.
It's so good. And it's it's like packed every day. But yeah, chicken is super good. But what I was gonna say is like whenever I'm on a trip or somewhere, like if I go out the country, I'm always just like, I miss food. Like I need to come back. I want some In-N-Out. I want some burgers. I need my burgers. Yeah, no, I'd be like super like, the only thing I'd miss is the food basically.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I one of my favorite things to do is if I ever go abroad, is I say, give me your local favorite dish.
Oh, really?
And then I eat it. Yeah. And so anyway, and I'll get into the street vendors and stuff in a little bit, but anyway, so they made this chicken and rice dish. Yeah. I loved it so much. The lady that I was speaking of before, who was from Haiti, she was in that clinic. I was telling her about this because when I saw her, she said she was from Haiti, and she had that Haitian accent. I gave her the sac passé, which is like what's up, and
sac passé.
Yeah, sac passé, naboulé.
Naboulé.
Anyway, I spoke some Creole with her, and she was like, oh, and then I told her that my favorite dish was this thing, and she knew exactly what I was talking about.
She cooked it for you?
She cooked it for me, and I have a picture of it still, so I'll post it.
That's so nice.
It's so good. So anyway, But one of the things I wanted to talk about was the street vendors. And I'd get these fried plantains from the street vendors, and you had to be very careful. And this is why.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how this was. So they'd have these, kind of streets in some of the places of Leogan. Oh! No! For those who just heard John scream, basically what happened was his
microphone exploded.
It exploded.
My microphone broke. It's on. You see the camera? My microphone straight up jumped off the table. Like
it just fell off.
So bad.
Ghost. But anyway,
it's good. We're good now. We're good.
We're good.
All right, what were we talking about? Chicken.
And we have an exclusive clip for those on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Just to watch that.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so I was talking about. So anyway, one of the things and why you couldn't eat the street food, it was a little sketchy. And so for two things, they would reuse bottles. So people would drink the bottle and they wouldn't. Sometimes they wouldn't clean it out. But if they did, this is what they would do. So you have these streets, right?
Yeah.
And then you have like, in a typical street, you have like the gutters and blah, blah, blah. They didn't really have gutters there. They just had these streets with this stuff and the roads would kind of curve over time, right? And so what people would do is they would just literally go zip and unzip and just go pee on the side of the road. So they get these puddles of trash and things like that and water that collect from the rain. And they would clean out the bottles with this rain water and pee and stuff like that. They clean out. So you had to be careful. Yeah, another thing is that when they would cook their food, they'd do the same thing. They would take a rag, dump it in the street. And I'm not saying that only men went and urinated in the streets. I mean, I'm talking everybody. Everybody. Like, you'd see a woman just and just go to the bathroom. It was gross.
That's horrible.
And I mean that was kind of the situation of Haiti at the time. It was kind of the situation of Haiti at the time. They'd burn their trash in the streets, trash everywhere. Yeah. And anyway, some images that were burned in my time as an innocent 18-year-old kid. But so anyway, let's talk about the food. So the chicken and rice was a staple over there.
After all that gross stuff.
So the chicken and rice was kind of the staple over there. Yeah, we had chicken
rice.
And I remember I asked them one time. They said, "Do you want to cook us, an American meal?" And they didn't really do hamburgers super well. So someone said, "Hey, let's do spaghetti."
Oh yeah.
And this was their version of spaghetti, if I remember right. They had tomato sauce, and then they did just like noodles that weren't really cooked all the way. And then they put in meat that they just like had stuck in the oven and it was raw. Oh. And then they put it in there, mixed it all together, and then they took ketchup. And they just went, "This is how this is how the Americans eat it, right?" And I was like, I couldn't taste super well at the time. And so everyone kept putting the food on my plate and I would just But anyway, so
I
that
think
was
tell them why you couldn't taste. Did they know?
I think I explained it in one of our first podcasts. I think it was the second one I talked about it.
But anyways,
I couldn't taste or smell. I was in a severe accident when I was 17, and I fractured my skull. And anyway, the medical autonomy, just real quick. Your brain, it's like sits in like almost like a box, right? Your skull, and then you have all these little wires that go from your brain. Those are called your nerve receptors, right? And what happens is when you shake that box, let's say you shake that box. And you have the brain that has all these wires. The wires are so delicate that sometimes they fall off or they get severed off, right, because of the impact. So I hit my head so hard that I'd severed all the receptors that go to my smell and my taste. But
you're good now, though, right? You're better.
I have days.
You're a lot better.
I have days. There's days, which is really weird, okay?
That is. How does
There's days that I cannot taste or smell at all.
Wait, that's weird. I want to talk about it. So you said it's like the receptors, right?
Yeah.
And
they can grow back and they can't. It just depends. Most likely they'll grow back, right? But I had an 80%. Mine was so severe that I had an 80% chance that it wouldn't grow back.
Ever.
So so my taste is pretty weak still, and my smell's pretty weak. And so they've grown back and maybe rewired. There was a point in my life where you could give me a blueberry muffin and a chocolate muffin. And I wouldn't be able, and like if I was blindfolded, I couldn't tell you the difference.
And you couldn't smell it either.
Yeah. So, and for those thinking that you can eat tons of spicy food, remember that spice and burn that's a different. It's a feeling. Yeah, it's a physical pain. It's not a receptor.
No,
in the sense of taste.
That's crazy. So that's weird. So you have off days or
it's random. It's like so weird. Like there's days like my wife will say, you know, how do I like, how's my perfume smell? And I'm like, you have perfume on, you know?
No perfume.
And then there's other days where I can smell it. And there's days that when I can smell, everything smells like a certain smell. Like, so if I get a predominant smell, so let's say I go outside and there was a smell of sewer, everything like that from the rest of the day will taste like sewer. But that's how what I remember it smelling like. So you have to understand there's also the psychological thing of it's been 10 years now. There's things I still question. I'm like, is this how it tasted? I think this is how I remember it tasting.
That's crazy.
And so, by the way, so ketchup is one of those things that has pretty much every flavor. They say it has every flavor in it: vinegar, salt, you know, things like bitterness, sweet. And so, I used to a lot more. I used to put ketchup on a lot of things. Nothing gross like ice cream or anything like that. Never did that. But like on certain sandwiches and stuff, and you'll still see me today if you ever see me eating a club sandwich, I put ketchup on it for the sole purpose of I can taste the ketchup. So
I like ketchup too. I put ketchup on like club sandwiches, like toasted sandwiches. I put ketchup on, but like not cold. So but anyways, what I was like trying to get at, like, how does like a receptor have an on and off day?
I don't know.
Does it like a short circuit or just like something like that?
It could be just I have lasting brain damage. It could be this. It could be this, which is probably
brain damage.
For those that know me, probably are like nodding their head, like. But honestly, what I think it is just when they grew back, they didn't grow back probably properly, and so anyway, so it's a complicated. The brain is like one of the most complicated things.
Oh yeah. No, didn't they? I don't want to mess this up, but they like know more about space than they do about
the human brain.
The human. I think you said that actually.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So one of the most interesting things is, by the way, and this is a discussion that I'll have it with different time. You know, you can prove anything with logic. Okay, everyone, you know, you can use logic to argue and fight anything, and logic's important and good. But here's what I'm trying to get at. It was only 400 years ago, pretty much, that we found out that the Earth was round. Okay, and we still have, you know, and then we can go, oh my gosh, we know so much about the human brain, and we know so much about this, but yet we're still making discoveries and finding things out. It's such a complicated thing. And so what I'm trying to say there by saying that is like, just because someone says something or just because you read something doesn't mean it's always true. But whatever we say is always true.
Everything we say is true.
Legit.
Yeah.
But anyway,
100%. We're the smartest people in the world.
I laugh because
my mic just broke.
But anyway, so it's a kind of a cool thing. There were some perks to it, and there's some non-perks. But you know, and again, I don't mean to get religious or preachy, but there were some things that I believe
blessings.
Yeah, some blessings that I believe really helped and things like that.
Yeah,
so bless
awesome.
up. But anyway, so there was a time in my life where I couldn't taste anything. It was like licking marble. That's how everyone that can't taste really describes
marble?
it. But that's kind of how I describe it. It's just like that. But
like water?
The weird thing is people were like, "Oh, you could eat so much healthier." And I'm like, you have to understand. And I was really skinny back in the day. I was like John. Yeah. I was really thin back in the day. But one of the things is like you still have cravings, and so it was really sad because I would crave these Oreos,
but then you couldn't taste them.
I couldn't taste it.
That's so sad.
So like I go to eat and then I'd be like, oh, you know,
it'd just be like.
But gross. I can taste like now I can kind of taste Diet Coke, and I can taste the differences between like the chocolate and blueberry muffin. I can do that. I can taste sugar. Sugar's very predominant. So if I eat something that's like candy, I don't like it because it's too sugary for me. That's why I drink diet sodas. Yeah. So
what about like salt or like savory stuff?
Salt is interesting. Michelle, my wife, has noticed I like to put more salt on than the average person.
Yeah. The average commuter.
The average commuter. Yeah. So anyway, enough about me. We can talk about that.
Anyways,
diving in. So let's talk about the food that you ate.
Okay, so let me get into it. All right.
Yeah.
So, the food there, like, so I was with the group, and they said that we couldn't really trust anything other than what they provided, you know, and that was like true to an extent.
So like what the immediate people that they had in.
So we had like
cooks and stuff.
Yeah, we had a cook.
Yeah. We did the same, and it was because we hired them. Like we wanted a way for them to make money, so we hired them.
Yeah, we were
taught
helping
them
them
some skills and things like that.
Yeah. Because we had a little bakery too, and I won't get like really into it, but like we had a bakery and stuff, and they cooked us food. But anyways,
that's cool.
So yeah, we had to get all these like shots and we'd take pills and stuff just in case.
Shot. These kind of shots.
Yeah, these kind of shots. You know, not heroin.
Well,
oh,
I'm cutting that out.
Anyway,
demonetized.
Anyways, yeah, I don't even know if to say that. So yeah, I was talking about food, but so basically we ate the same thing every day. So we woke up and at our lodge they would just give us like cereal and eggs and stuff, and then that's what we'd had for breakfast and stuff, and that was good for like the first day, and then after that,
yeah, cereal and eggs.
And then
bland.
For lunch every day, we'd have a peanut butter jelly sandwich. It was actually really good.
I love peanut butter and jelly.
With like a banana.
Shout out if you like peanut butter and jelly. Comment below.
I'm hungry.
Like the video.
I'm probably gonna eat a peanut butter jelly after this. Honestly, it's so good.
I know. I want to get a sandwich now.
And then for dinner every night we'd have the same thing.
Yeah.
We'd just line up this little like buffet style.
Yeah.
Where they just have like little chicken like on the bone. I don't know.
Yeah, like a drumstick.
Cut up chicken.
Yeah.
It wasn't like drumstick. It was just like parts of the
just
random body parts.
Chicken.
Just chicken on it. And then we'd have rice, and then some sort of potato. Like,
chicken and rice is a staple.
Oh yeah, you can have it like
yeah.
Honestly, anywhere.
A lot of places. Yeah.
And then they would have like shima sometimes, and then oh yeah,
was a cornmeal thing.
Yeah.
Shima.
Yeah, it's a cornmeal thing. Like, the best way I can describe it is it's the taste like when a tamale, the soft, the like corn stuff on the side, you know, and you bite into it. That's basically what it is, but with like no seasoning.
No seasoning or anything.
But yeah, I don't know. It was great.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed the food pretty much. Like,
yeah,
it was good pretty much every time except for breakfast.
So did they get that from like? Of course they do get all that stuff from like local farms and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got it from, but that's honestly
cool.
like I can't complain. Like I had like it was like super good food compared to what other people are like.
Right.
It was like.
So that's being said, you ate that. What did the local like? So we know like the city, of course, the city is a city, whether it's big or small. They usually have more food and things like that. The rural people, what did they eat? Kind of the same things like like the rural people, like the tribal people and things like that.
Oh, like the village people.
Yeah. Which, by the way, culturally, I remember I took a class on African history and things like that. That's Loved cool. It. It was so cool. And a lot of the cultural things that they have preserved that over a long period of time. And I think that is one of the like coolest things, by the way. It's like, you know, so a lot of these tribes, they maintain this culture.
They have a lot of.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Before I answer your question, I'm going to go off that too.
Yeah.
Because like, we talked to like a lot of the people and they still, like their culture and stuff is like still super strong. Like, like the woman has to like,
some of the things, granted, aren't the best, right?
Yeah. Well, like I'm saying what their culture, like what they do now.
But it's just cool that they preserve things. But anyway,
yeah, well, like with the women, like they would do like the chores, and then the men would find the jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
And like they still have that thing, and like they would, like the family would have to, like, choose basically like the husband, and sometimes the husband has to pay for his wife.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
With like livestock, I think it still happens
like, today.
Oh yeah, it happens in quite a few places actually.
But yeah, and then to go back to your question, what you're saying about what rural people eat and stuff, and we went to this compound, and like there's a compound and there's a village, but basically, what a compound do is like they have like it's like a middle class where they pay for their like rent and stuff. In the village, they don't have to; they just make everything.
Right,
everything
they make everything themselves.
Yeah. But so when we went to the compound, and the guy said that every day what they eat is I'm telling you, every day they have shima every day, and then like some days when they're lucky they can put like meat or like chicken and steak in it, and then like they can make it into like an oatmeal type thing, or they can just have it like a brick or just whatever. And out where our school is,
every day
shima every day,
and if they're lucky,
they can put like meat in it or something or spice.
Wow.
And the guy, we asked him, we're like, do you like shima? Like, do you eat all of it? He's like, I love shima.
You guys. Every day. Oh, I don't like to eat at McDonald's. First world problems.
And so, no, but this is crazy. We went, at our school, we have the windows and stuff, but they have like metal bars on the windows, you know, to keep people out.
Yeah.
And, one night someone, was so hungry that they bent the metal bars apart and they stole a bag of Shima just for the Shima. That's all they wanted. They broke into the school.
Wow.
And then, but the village is so grateful for the school that they took the guy and banished him from the village.
Wow.
Just because he stole the bag of Shima.
Just because he. So that being said, the laws and things. So when I arrived in Haiti, I love Haiti and I love the people of Haiti and things, but I kind of arrived there after the earthquake, and so there was a lot of political things that were going on, right? I remember getting off the plane. I walked through customs. The guy there, the security guard, has his gun.
Oh yeah.
He has his gun, and which I was just like, didn't faze me. It's just like, whatever. That's just their thing. That's He did a random bag check on me, and he found I had stored all my money. I had a secret compartment in my bag, stored all my money there, but I had $20 of like cash. And then I had just a bunch of Lifesavers mints, and anyway, to give to like kids and stuff. And anyway, he did a random bag search, and takes the $20 out and goes finder's fee, puts it in his pocket, and then takes a handful of my candy, and then goes on. And I was like, whatever, I was like, I'm not gonna argue with this guy.
Yeah, you can't do anything. So
and then there were some times it was pretty lawless. Like they said, like I had someone told me, oh yeah, the people go and they shot some people, things like they don't care. Some people come and kidnap the orphans. You know what I mean? So
it's awful.
And so that was kind of at the lowest of the low part of Haiti because of the earthquakes. Talk about kind of the structure of law and things around there. And I know it varies per tribe, and I know it varies per people, but they banished this guy for stealing some stuff, which is rightfully so in some respects. You don't want this guy to continue, but he was so hungry. There's got to be this. You got to have justice and mercy and things like that. So what was that kind of like? Did you ever feel like, man? Of course you have to respect the culture and the people. But what was kind of the law from what you observed?
So yeah, I didn't know like much about the law, and I didn't really have any crazy stories like someone taking my money. But honestly, the law was like, in some places like they would stop our bus. When we were driving, they would check and be like check like every one of us, and like other places they would just let us drive through. Yeah, and then like.
And this was like the government officials.
Yeah, just like government people.
Were they? What did they look like? Were they like the typical what you see, like wearing the tan shirts, the pants, and carrying the AK-47s?
Only one guy had the AK, and then like the rest of them were just dressed up in uniforms.
My peeps had the AKs.
Really?
Yeah,
that's so sketch. But
it was sketch.
Yeah, it was tight. It was tight. It was good. Anyways, but yeah, ours we wouldn't run really into like much any trouble. Ours like if anything it was like more loose. Like we would go through the airport and stuff, like you have to throw all your water bottles and stuff and candy away.
They're just like whatever.
Yeah, they're like, is there water in this? And you'd be like, yeah, and they're like, just finish it before the flight. They just let you through and stuff.
Oh,
and
cool.
And like it was like super loose, and so I'm the best security I've been through in an airport.
Yeah.
Just walk through the thing, metal detector goes off, they don't care.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I totally remember too. I got robbed. I were not robbed. I got threatened. Yeah. And anyway and stuff. And anyway, that's a story. If you want to hear the story, it's a really cool story. But I'll share that for a different time. And by the way, so we, my older brother Rock, he served a service mission in Brazil, and my dad served a mission in Peru. And so, they kind of Rock served in João Pessoa, Brazil, which was kind of more he served in some of the slum parts. Yeah. And some respects, and some of and I shouldn't say slum. He served in some of the not as affluent parts, the lower income
class.
And my dad served in Peru, and he saw it all. And so they kind of have similar experiences. But Africa, I feel like, is such a unique place where they've really preserved culture and family and things of that nature, and in the best parts of it. And they're very loyal to their people, and they're very loyal to these cultures and these things they hold on to, which is so cool and unique. But at the same time, I think a lot of them want to better themselves, and you had the opportunity to teach some business classes and some other things. And I did that in Haiti. We taught business classes and things, entrepreneurship, and how to we had this guy, the cream, he always would scream, cream IE. That's how he said it. He's a low voice. He had a really low voice, but anytime he was selling his ice cream, he'd walk around and you could hear him, cream IE. And then you talk to him and he'd go, "Sak pasay na bule." like the coolest thing. But we taught people like those vendors how to kind of expand their business, how they could charge more, or how could they, almost market to a certain clientele, and how to keep things sanitary. So talk about kind of your experiences with that. So I know you built this clinic and things. Did you do any training? I know Sister Claire, my little sister Claire, she did some things on rights and empowering, right? Like stuff that. So talk kind of about that.
So you want me to talk about
kind of like
teaching them or what?
Yeah. Well, what you did, you went to the orphanages and stuff like that, but what you did to kind of empower the people.
Oh, okay.
And because you guys did a lot of empowerment type of exercises. What did you do to kind of empower these people?
So basically, so in one of their schools, so they have two schools. One of the schools is an all-girls school, and it's basically like a high school type thing.
Yeah.
And they have a bakery integrated with it too. That's where our cooks are.
Yeah.
And those are the girls that cook our food.
That's cool.
But so yeah, those girls, they were my age and stuff, from all the way up to 20, and then all the way to I don't know, 16 and stuff. But the women in that country they don't really have as many rights as us, because they were behind and stuff. And so it was kind of just crazy for them to see us, and we and our sister would talk about women's rights and stuff, and activists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And share a better, that they don't have to stand for this stuff anymore, like the sex trafficking and stuff.
And that's mainly what we mean by the women's rights, is that you're empowered, you have a say.
Yeah.
You have a voice.
Yeah, so we were trying to empower them to say that you don't have to live up to this. You can make your own.
Right.
And we had these bracelets, and it was called I said I am a Zambian cycle breaker, and basically what that meant was for the women in the school that instead of just staying at home with doing the chores, that they would go out and go get their education.
Yeah.
And they would go to school, and they would say oh, I want to own a restaurant, a chicken restaurant. Another one was oh, I want to be a pharmacist, or I want to.
That's cool.
Be and so we were helping them pursue and teaching them that it's okay for them to get their education and rise up and stuff. So that's basically.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's cool. And by the way, for those interested, you can donate to I Am Zambia.
Yeah.
You can just look it up on.
They
you can just Google it,
stuff.
I Am Zambia, and it will pop up. You can donate. They do some really cool things.
Yeah, they have a really good organization.
And I feel like they do a lot of sustainability, which is so important in humanitarian. If you're ever going to do humanitarian work, be sure that you focus on sustainability. If you're a nonprofit, things like that, sustainability is key, because again, it's that principle. You can teach a man to fish, things like that. Yes, people need immediate aid. They do. And you need to provide that. But there are so many organizations out there that provide the immediate aid. Let's create a sustainable solution to that. And kind of a hybrid of both. And it's so key to do that. And so anyway, so John was able to do that in Zambia, and John was able to do so many great things. And we're gonna continue to talk about it. You guys, if you have any questions specifically for John about kind of his experience in Zambia, what was it like? Was it affordable? Can I volunteer for I Am Zambia? Or Jake, what was Haiti like? Can I do this? Or more questions along those lines of how was your sleeping situation? We're going to continue to talk about that. But if you have any questions, we're kind of at this halfway point, I feel like.
Yeah.
And feel free to, drop it in the comments below. If you're listening on Spotify, you can email us directly. It's averagecommutepodcast@gmail.com. averagecommutepodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out to send us an email and go from there. And that applies, to any questions you have about John and I. We'd love to kind of give you more.
Yeah, man. Comment below, you know what I'm saying?
So we've talked about kind of what you've done. We've talked about the culture, kind of a little bit, the people there and things like that. And I do want to kind of dive back more into the people. And I think that's a very, very good conversation about joy, things like that. So I kind of want to talk about kind of the interactions that these people had with each other. Because, I remember when I went to Haiti, they again, I was a little bit more athletic. I was in better shape. I was a little better looking, I think. Thicker hair,
Yeah.
And I had people that would come, they would stop me and they would ask me, "Are you international soccer player?" Stuff like that. They show me this stuff. They point, "You this guy, you know these people. You're American. You're famous."
That's crazy.
And I'm 6'5", and so these Haitians were a lot shorter, and a lot of them, and so they would just like think I was this great, football player, soccer player, and things like that. And I'd go, no, like I'm not,
Yeah.
and so sometimes I felt like the interactions with us, they knew that we would be fun. They knew that we, like the kids knew that I would have a line, we go to these orphanages for hours, and I would sit there, and regardless of how tired I was, I made sure they had a line, and they would just go cycle through, and I'd throw them up in the air, I'd fly them around.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I got a workout, man. I was like so sore some days from doing it, but you have to do it, right?
Yeah. No.
So let's talk about more of like the social interactions between the people themselves.
The people and us, or the people.
People and them. People, like the people and people.
Yeah.
So let's, from what you observe, cutting yourself. Again, I love to people watch. One of my favorite things I would love to do at Brigham Young University. No, I'd love to do at Brigham Young University was I would sit. They have this like atrium thing. I'd sit on top of this thing, and I'd look down into kind of the food court, and I just like would watch with one of my buddies. Would watch, and then we just kind of talk about, like I'd be like, "Oh, this guy's gonna ask this girl out. Let's watch it," But I just love to see human interaction, because it's so when people interact in their own way, there's some authenticity to it, and I think we crave as a culture authenticity.
Yeah.
And we don't realize it. We're surrounded by non-authenticity. We're surrounded by all these people I go on 30 trips and blah blah blah. You don't see the daily grind that they have to do to get there.
Yeah, and then they watch these movies and they see like these fake interactions, and you're like, "Whoa, what? Like, why can't I be like that? Why can't people be like that?"
Right.
Like, I know, like I watch like a Netflix show, and I'm like, man, I need to be more like this person in this show, because they're amazing, and then they're so nice and everyone loves them. But like at the end of the day, you just need to be yourself,
right?
And people will love you for you.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. The daily interactions of these people that you observed. Kind of, how was that? I mean, were they naturally always happy around each other and things like that?
Yeah, like people like, well, I never understood, like I didn't know their language and stuff, but like when I was on the safari, when I went to Mafui, like
Mafui, that's a cool name.
Yeah, Mafui. The people, like the drivers, would always drive by. They'd always stop, and they'd turn off their cars, and they'd be like, "Oh, like I don't know what they say." But,
they just start talking to each other,
laugh, and then they joke, and they're like, "Oh," and then they keep driving.
And these were the people that would always wave and things like that.
Yeah, just everyone. They're just like, "Hey," and they would always wave to us, and they were super nice. And then that was in Mafui. I didn't really see much like. In like Livingstone, it's just not Livingstone, Lusaka. In Lusaka, I just saw more of like the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And they would just kind of just play with each other and stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing I did see a bar fight going down too. And this guy, he walked out of the bar. It was like 3 o'clock. I was like, he was drunk.
He was wasted.
He threw like his bottle at the guy. And like hit him, and the guy, they were like swinging.
They started just fist fighting.
And we like drove away. We were like,
wow.
When they're drunk, it's scary.
Yeah.
But no, but the people, they're super nice.
Do you feel like a lot of them turn to alcohol or things like that because of their situations they're in, or do you feel like it's just kind of part of who they,
I don't know, honestly.
You can't probably speak.
Yeah, like I know a lot of the people. They say like their fathers would come home drunk and stuff from work, and they would spend their, they would give like a situation where like if the woman was working, and like the man lost his job and stuff, that like he would just take her money and then go drink and stuff. But then like the other situation was when they both had jobs, and then they'd be a lot more harmonic and they would work together. But I don't know.
So that's an interesting thing, and we can kind of tie that into y'all. All y'all. So I think it's pretty interesting, this concept of, these people, they lost their jobs. I think too often in life too, we set up these false expectations of how life should be. And that needs to kind of, you get to set up the expectations of how your life should be. You get to determine, you get to set these expectations. not anyone else, not society. So I think like sometimes, especially in today's world, the expectations like, hey, sit down, shut up and listen, or like keep your head down, walk by. But no, you get to create those expectations. And yes, I mean, granted, there are environments where expectations are demanded, and you have to have that. You have to have culture. You have to have
you have to know the culture,
organization, right? So that's just interesting. So I just, we're going to talk about this more in more podcasts to come and things like that. But I just want to again, kind of, always love to have these motivations and heart to heart. And we talked a lot about how a lot of these people are just happy and how they find joy in the simplicity of life. And I just want to just really push and harp on that, for those who are listening to this or viewing this, find joy in the things that matter most. Stop wasting your time and stop devoting time to things that don't matter as much. Like, yes, it's great to be on social media, and yes, it's great to stay in touch with people and things like that. I'm not saying that's bad, sick, or wrong at all.
Yeah, I love social media.
But it can become wrong, right?
Too much of something can become a bad thing.
Right. And so you have to learn to either cut some things out or whatever it may be. But learn to, like these people do. I love that example that you said of the drivers. They stop and they just talk to each other. Hey, how you doing? And they're in the middle of a safari and they stop their cars, turn it off, and talk to each other. And they turn off the car. That's a pretty cool symbolism right there, if you think about it. Every time. And I just want to say, I think we need more of that. And it's, I love waving to people. I love talking to people. I love being happy and joyful. But you don't see that as much. I remember I got off a flight once, same thing. Yeah. And I had just come home from my mission, and I just was waving at people, and how's it going? How's it going? And then and one guy literally said, he goes, "What are you waving at?" And I was like,
literally said,
"I'm just saying hi," and he goes, "Don't ever look at me again."
That's
and I was horrible. I wasn't even like, I just said, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah, you're just being genuine. Like what was in, like, I don't know. That's so crazy.
And I'll be honest, I had someone the other day tell me I was disingenuine because they said I was too nice. And I was like, this is who I am. And I'm not trying to brag about who I am or things. I was literally just like really positive. And it's so funny how society has created these false expectations of how we should be and interact. It's like bull.
Like we're a community and stuff, if you I wave to you and you get mad at me, like I don't know, like what, like I wonder what was going through his mind, like I don't know.
He's probably just, honestly, he probably was late to his flight or something. It was just kind of like in a bad mood. And I get that. But you guys, it's so important that, let's, I love there's a quote that says, try a little harder to be a little better. And let's as a society, let's be positive and be a force for good. Be a force for good. We talked about that in I think our first or second podcast, being a force for good.
Which is weird too, because the more you do good, the more you feel good.
Yeah.
Like when you wave to someone and they wave back, you just feel good.
You feel great.
You feel good. If you do service for someone, then you feel good. Like, I think it's just, and then if someone waves at you and then you say, "Why are you waving at me?" I think you have you put on this thing. You're like, wow, this is what are these people doing? I don't know. And you feel worse. And I think, just giving someone a smile and stuff. And you always hear about someone, if you just say hi to them once a day, or just say, "How are you doing?" and it makes them feel so much better. That's so true. And it honestly can come back and make you feel so much better. And it's just I don't know why that's not a thing here, because in Africa they would just be or in Zambia they'd be "Oh, hi," and everyone would wave and they would smile and be "Hey, hey."
Yeah.
And then they would do it back and they would all just feel good. But here it's I don't know.
And I think, it's so funny. There's a quote that says, "Fake it till you make it," and I watched this guy who researched this, and everyone goes, "Don't fake it till you make it." But I read this thing where it's sometimes it's good for you to fake it. Yeah. When you're having a bad day, to fake it, to stop talking so much about the negative things going on in your life. I remember there was this person, and this is a pretty reoccurring experience. I think for the world today, I'd say, "Hey, how's your day going?"
Yeah.
And then they just, "Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's this and this and this." And they go on and on and on, which is fine. And I want to be empathetic and sympathetic.
Sometimes.
And I was really humbled that they would think of me as a person they could share that with. But there's also times when life is hard. And life is hard. Let's face it.
Everyone's
life is
gonna
hard for these people down in Zambia.
Yeah.
In our perspective. And in a lot of times their perspective. Life is hard. Guess what? They still are going to put a genuine smile on their face, and they're still going to wave hello, and they're still going to, be happy.
Yeah.
And it's important you do that sometimes. If you're really struggling,
yeah,
please talk to somebody. But at the same time, fight it and choose to be happy. Fight and put that happiness, inject that happiness into you, and put a smile on.
Yeah, and like what you said, fake it till you make it, and how these people were just looking at all the negatives, and they're just like, my day sucked, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And I saw this little study where it was 10 people, for a month, 10 people would report every day and say all the good things that happened to them that day.
Yeah.
And another group, you heard this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then another 10 people would say everything that was bad about their day.
Yeah.
And then the people that said the good things would have a good day, and they'd be happy, and their days would just be better or more genuine than the people that had
bad days. Yeah.
Or talk about the negative things. They would have a genuinely they would feel like their day has been bad and it's been worse. And so I think that's too down in Zambia, they look forward, they get their food and they get water, and they're so grateful and they're so happy.
Yeah.
And then they look for those good things. And here it's just they just look at this person did this thing to me, and I'm rah, rah, rah.
And there may be some people that dislike, if we ever get big enough where a lot of people watch this that dislike this and not agree. But I'm sorry, I just, this is how we feel, right? And so this leads to challenge number 2 in my mind. You ready for this? Challenge number 2 for you guys.
Dose.
Every day, find the good of the day. And I've had crappy days. I talked about that. I've hit red lights.
Yeah,
I've struggled with depression. I've struggled with anxiety. I've struggled with these things. But one of the things that has really worked for me is to find something good throughout the day. The other day, John, I'm going to get real with you guys. The other day, I'm walking and I'm kind of having a bad day. And I was I need to get out of the house, blah, blah, blah. So I get out of the house. It's super late at night. I go to Walmart to get a Diet Coke, because I'm Diet Coke's going to make me feel good, So I go, it's super late at night. It's 10 o'clock. That's super late for me. I'm I'm at Walmart, John.
Yeah.
And I'm walking through an aisle, and I just went, man, I need to think, I need to find something good for the day. And I'm walking down this aisle, and lo and behold, I look over, and there's a paper, and I love Boise, Idaho. I love the people I was able to serve. Ask John.
Yeah, no.
Boise is I loved my mission and things. So I'm walking down, and lo and behold, there's this stack of papers, and it's called Boise. And it's the smallest thing. It was the last one there, called Boise. And I was I've never heard of Boise Paper Company. Actually, anyway, that's a different story for a different time. I had, and then it just came to me that I remembered talking. I talked to the owner of the company on an airplane once. Anyway, but I'm sitting there, and I looked at it, and I just got this big smile on my face. And I was wow, the smallest thing. And so I took that, and it brightened my whole day. One simple small thing.
Crazy.
So find the simple small things, you guys. It's if there's, we're going to talk about takeaways right here in a second, but guys, find the joy, find the things, think of these people that are struggling, and do that. So John, let's end with this. You ready for this?
Okay.
Takeaways from your experience.
They said we went around in a circle.
Yeah.
At the end of the thing, they said, what was one word that you can describe? And everyone was saying humbling, I don't know, I can't remember, but mine was eye-opening. And so, because I've never been, I've been on all these trips and stuff, and my trips have been to sightseeing, to France and stuff, and Monaco and Costa Rica and stuff. But I've never done a humanitarian service down in a place like that. And so I said eye-opening because I've never really experienced something like that. And it really opened my eyes to see what other people are going through, and how I can relate myself to it. Down in Africa, it's just so different than, and I was so happy to be home, but I missed these little kids and stuff. And I think I was just so grateful for this experience like putting service and taking my time to make service for these guys has honestly just generally made me like feel better and like humbled myself. And I don't know. The takeaway from Africa was an eye-opening and humble experience for me.
Wow.
Yeah. What was your takeaway from
Haiti? I'd probably say the same thing. And honestly, same thing as John, but I think even from kind of listening to John is perspective. If I could use one word, it'd be perspective. And which is the same thing as eye-opening, right?
Perspective.
Was this ideology of putting things into perspective, putting things into an eye-opening experience, walking a mile in these people's shoes, even though you can never physically, mentally, emotionally do that.
It's true.
But seeing these people and interacting with them and trying to be involved in their culture and trying to kind of absorb myself and taking a step back and reflect, I think the biggest thing is perspective. And I think all of us need a perspective in life, and all of us need a perspective of who we are in this big world of ours.
That's true.
And some of these people in rural Africa may have heard of America and heard of these, whatever, or they think, oh, everyone in America is rich or all these things like that. But and vice versa, we may go, everyone in Africa is poor, blah, blah, blah. But really it's perspective of they still find happiness. And there's a great story. I know I've been hitting on this a lot, but there's this great story. You can read it in a Jimmy John's, actually. I saw it in a Jimmy John's the other day. I was like, this is great. There's this cool story about this Mexican fisherman and this rich billionaire. And the rich billionaire, walks this Mexican fisherman and says, you need it. You can expedite your business. You can make millions and blah, blah, blah. You just need to take 10 years, build this great business. You need to do X, Y, and Z to do this. You need to devote more time to this. You can't take time off, blah, blah, blah. And, it's this humble Mexican fisherman.
Yeah.
Well, this guy asked him all these questions and says, you need to do all this. And the guy said, nah, I'm happy where I'm at and content where I'm at. And the billionaire went, you gotta be kidding me. You could be making me so much more. And so, what the Mexican fisherman said? He said, okay, let me ask you a question. What would you do when you finally have made all the money and you retired? He goes, I'd live on a beach. I'd own a fishing boat and I'd go fishing every day and hang out with my family. And the Mexican fisherman said, that's no different than what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And here he was making, little money. And I'm not saying money's a bad thing. I love to make money and I want to invest and I'm all about that But what I guess I'm trying to say is perspective. Find ways that you can find joy in the small things and do what these great people of Zambia did. And get out and serve more. I think service allows you to see people in different lights and to see authenticity.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to talk again, like I said, we're going to talk more about this experience as time goes on. But I just have to say, you guys, this has been really cool to kind of talk to John.
This has been a long one. This has been awesome.
Yeah, a younger brother about things, and it's a really cool thing as an older brother to listen to your younger brother talk about his experiences serving people, because in reality, that's what life is all about. We're on this big green earth for a reason, and that's to help one another, and to really ultimately help ourselves, but to help others as well. And so for those listening, get out there and serve. You guys, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for tuning into another podcast. This has kind of been our day in the life of regular podcast, hybrid. We're glad to have you back, John.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. And for everyone that listened to the end, thank you so much. This has been a long one. Thanks for sticking to it. Tell us what you liked about it. Tell us what you think about it.
Need to improve on.
I'm glad to be back. It's good. I like America. I like toilets.
The air conditioning.
Yeah. It's awesome. And cold water too.
Yeah. And we need to tell stories. In the next podcast, we'll just need to tell stories about kind of, I know I said that, maybe we'll have 2 parts and maybe we will. The next part, we'll just tell cool stories about things. And so tune into the next podcast where John and I will just kind of tell cool stories about our experiences in these third world countries that both of us have been to and devoted, I think, the same amount of time, serving these people and things. But I have some funny stories about sleeping and these giant bugs. I hate spiders. For those who know me,
bugs in mine.
John had bed bugs. But did you get bit by any?
Actually, what happened? Okay, should I tell my story now?
Tell your story.
Okay, so basically, what happens? I get out the shower, which is they have freezing showers.
Yeah. Wait, did you use buckets?
No, we had a nice. Our hotel.
That's what I'm talking about, boys.
Had a nice place.
Yeah.
But our shower was freezing though.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was like the winter there. So at night it'd get like in the 60s and it'd be freezing. But anyways, I come back into my bedroom and I just see this. It's like little, just barely, because my sheets were like white. I just saw it just crawling. I was like, oh no. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's bed bugs, like a bed bug or something. And so, I take it like, I like pick it up like this, like it crawls in my hand, right? And I was like, I walk out to the outside. I find this like cement wall. I just go, Gah! And I like just kill the like bug or whatever. It was like disgusting. And then I run up to the front desk. I'm like, and I took like a video of it just like for proof. And like, I showed like the lady. I'm like, I think I have bed bugs in my room. Like, can you go fish? She's like, oh, she's like so grossed out about it. I'm like, this is crazy. Like I thought like you guys would see
More.
Yeah, more of this.
Yeah.
And so like they go to my bed. She gives me the Raid, like a Raid spray thing, and she's just like, all right, spray it. Like spray all this poison on my bed. And then my aunt walks in, Heidi. She's like, what are you doing? You're spraying like your bed like with poison and stuff. You can't sleep in that. And the lady's like, right, okay. And she like goes, and she like brings me like she just brings me a new sheet, and she's like, okay, that's good. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Well,
and so hopefully I woke up with like 2 bites, but I don't know if it was from mosquitoes or
bed bugs.
Yeah, I don't know. I only saw the one bug, so hopefully I'm safe.
Yeah, he showed me, and honestly, for those who have ever dealt with bed bugs, they're just gross.
Horrible.
But yeah, no, the sleeping arrangements are funny, and my first night, I remember I get there, and we stayed in this old house, and for our first night with this other humanitarian group, and I was just so not even shell shocked or anything like that. It wasn't. Honestly, it wasn't really like I went there and went, oh my gosh, it was just kind of one of those things that I was just kind of like, I like to kind of take things as they come. And so anyway, so there I was, and I just remember it's this 2-story place, no AC or anything. And it was so hot. I wanted to sleep, outside. I had no pad or anything. So what I did is they gave me, I think they gave me a sleeping bag. I think I brought a sleeping bag with me. I can't even remember. And what I did is I remember I unrolled this sleeping bag. I laid down on it, and then they're like, oh, I had like that 100% DEET spray, which burns your skin when you spray it on. Anyway, so I spray that all on, and then, they have some pretty nasty bugs out there. I just took my mosquito net and I just threw it over myself, and I just fell asleep. It was one of the hardest things. But one of the most crazy things was, again, this was right after the earthquake. I couldn't fall asleep that first night because I would hear people, and I'm sorry, it's like still a little traumatizing in the sense of just like, it's just really sad. I would hear people just like mourning, like just like crying and yelling. And I remember because we were in this really big city, and I can't even remember if we were in Leogan that first night or not, but I just remember hearing that. And I remember hearing this lady had found, this lady was just like screaming, and they were speaking Creole really loud, and there was a big fire off in the distance. Someplace caught fire. And I looked at the guy who was with us, Junior, and I said, Junior, what are they saying? And he was a translator, and he just said, he goes, she just found her husband in the rubble, and he's dead. And I just remember that, and I was like, oh my gosh, here's this 18-year-old kid, and I was like, where the heck am I, Yeah. But it was so interesting, and anyway, later I got to sleep. I just slept on the ground because I was too scared to sleep in any of the beds because of bed bugs. Yeah. But I sprayed DEET on I sprayed my bag. I sprayed it on my clothes. One of my books that I brought with me, the cover of it, I think I still have it, is ruined because of it. Jeez. It was hilarious. But you guys, I took showers. I took bucket showers because they didn't have it in the run of water because of the earthquake. So we grabbed this bucket of water. And they were like, don't drink it because it's so unsanitary. And what you would do is I poured like, it was this giant 10-gallon bucket. I poured like half of it on me, lather up in, it was when Terry Crews was doing the Old Spice commercials. 24 hours of odor blocking power. Yeah. So I was like, I bought that just because I was like, I need odor blocking power. So then I would like scrub up, and then I'd pour the rest on, and then I'd pour another bucket on of water. And I was like, this water was like, I remember the guy's like, this is grosser than the toilet water you're going to be. And I was like, dude, why would you say that, dude? But anyway, yeah, bro. But anyway, it was a really humbling experience, really eye-opening, really cool. You guys, you don't have to. But here's the thing: you don't have to go to a third world country to experience this. You can, and I'm not saying that America's like corrupt or has all these bad things. I'm just saying that even if you serve your fellow man or neighbor, you can experience some real perspective, eye-opening things.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You can also do like a lot of service too back here in the States. Like you can help out like with the homeless and stuff
soup kitchens and non-profit organizations. I mean, there's so many.
There's a lot of stuff you guys can do.
And might I add, I think we need it more than anyone else now. Right?
Yeah, me and Jake need it.
Yeah. Well, no. But anyway, you guys, it's been awesome, and I know every time we want to end it, I feel like we want to talk about more things.
Yeah, I have so many stories.
Oh, he has so many stories. So we're going to share, I think, part 2, which will come out next week as well. I
walked a cheetah.
Yeah, he walked a cheetah, which is cool, and we'll talk some cool stories from both places. Also, just cool stories about service and things that we've been able to do in our lives. We love serving people, love helping people out. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this awesome community and podcast. If you're new to our channel and you're just checking us out, please be sure to check out any of our other videos. They're much shorter, other podcasts. If you're new to our Spotify page, we do different podcasts. We do a day in the life of where we take average people. We talk about their lives, what they do day to day in their work, what's it like. And then we do some unsolved crimes. And then we're going to get our gaming channel up. You know what, John? I've been thinking, all this PewDiePie stuff about Minecraft. I think maybe our first one needs to be some Minecraft.
Bro, literally, Minecraft is the best game ever created. No one at me on that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
what do we do? We just do like Minecraft, just like...
Minecraft is what up?
Just play, survive?
Just play, survive.
Tell us what you guys want to see.
Just tell us what you want to see.
I don't know, just like go to the end world or just like mess around. Yeah. Creative mode.
And United Gamer, I hope you listen. I hope you're listening. We miss you.
Dead Gamer. You could join in. He's a gamer.
Hey, yeah, dude. If you want to join, I know you play like Halo and stuff. Maybe we'll do a Halo one. If you ever want to join in with us, we're on Xbox is what we use. Dude, join us.
I don't know.
We'd love to.
Should we forgive him after?
Of course. After he's our only follower. Yeah. No. We forgive you. We love you. You're awesome.
Love you, gamer. Death Gamer.
Yeah. Maybe he got weirded out when we said whoever you are.
Oh yeah. I think he's like, we're too much in love with him. That could be any one of these new viewers.
Hey, yeah, that could be you, new viewer. If you want to be one of our new, followers, hey. You guys, this has been another edition of the Average Commute Podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, have a wonderful day.
Wonderful.
You didn't, you messed up.
Ready? I said wonderful twice.
Okay, but you gotta have the flow. Ready?
Wonderful. Done.
Sorry, guys, your eardrums broke. I'm gonna edit that out. Bro. As always, have a wonderful day. That's how you do it, John.
I'm getting good.
You're getting good.
Shoot.
I'm gonna leave this in for those watching on YouTube. You're gonna get a special thing that no one's gonna get. We're gonna watch as John epically failed. Frick! Epically failed.
It's not a podcast if something doesn't break. I'm the camera guy, guys. Don't worry about it.